This video is mostly about a kind of hoisting engine used in logging, an engine known as a steam donkey. It's about the last of the men who worked on those steam donkeys.
It was a glamorous time. The United States was still on the way up. We had plenty of timber, and we thought we could do anything. It's a great time to, I don't know, anybody could do anything in this country, and we did. We were the best at manufacturing and new technology then with steam. It was a glamorous area because there was a lot of optimism then. Even in spite of the Great Depression, which was really a fiscally and mentally depressing thing, I don't think people thought it was going to last forever. And I think most people probably thought that we'd recover and we'd be okay.
It's just a relic of the past. It's kind of a part of maybe industrial archaeology or something in a sense. There's just a few steam donkeys left. But what's significant, I think, is that's the way for the first 40 years of this century. That's the way that the logs were got out of the woods. And prior to that, they used the bull teams, and they logged down into the canyons, and then they pulled the logs down the canyons into the river. And when they got steam donkeys, they did basically the same thing. And this land right here, for example, was logged just 100 years ago, and it was logged with bull teams, and some of it probably with steam donkeys. And we logged it again this past winter. But the guys who logged it the first time, they're the ones who remember the steam donkeys. And when the Pacific Northwest is logged off, it took this whole century to log off the Pacific Northwest the first time. And those old guys who did that lived during exciting times. And the people who log it off the second time aren't going to have that same excitement these old timers had. And that, I think, is why the steam donkey is such a nostalgic kind of a thing for the old timers, because it represents a time when they were in those woods and cutting it off for the first time. It was all virgin timber right up until very recently. And those old guys are going to be gone pretty quick. And in this coming century, the newer generation isn't ever going to know what excitement it was to do it the first time. The steam engine also goes back further than most people realize. They were used to pump water from the mines in England as early as 1700. But it wasn't until the 1850s that the steam engine was applied to a hoist or a winch, and the actual steam donkey was created. At first, they were small auxiliary engines used on ships to load cargo, hoist anchors, and so on. During the 1880s, a large, newly invented steam donkey was first used in logging. This was basically a steam-operated capstan, which could pull the logs one at a time down a skid road. It was used to replace the oxen, which had done such work for centuries.
Steam donkeys move logs from one place to another, basically from the stump to the railroad. They started out dragging them on the ground, and then around 1916 or so, everybody jumped on the bandwagon. They started getting the logs in the air, which of course was a lot easier to move them because they didn't have the friction of dragging them on the ground. They all different kinds of steam donkeys. There's loaders and They were incline machines, which all they did was lower loaded logs down a very steep railroad grade on a cable.
Inventors did all kinds of things with the steam donkey. The steam shovel was really a complicated arrangement of cable hoists, basically an adaptation of the steam donkey. And with it, they dug the Panama Canal, as well as logging railroads all over the Pacific Northwest. By the time of the First World War, the steam donkey had become a very large and sophisticated machine. Its rigging was complicated, fast, and dangerous.
And then they had road engines, which moved logs from one place to another, which later became the swing donkey, which took the logs from the yarder tree and moved it to the railhead. And the yarder is the donkey that takes it from out in the woods and brings it up to the landing. Not because it's heavy, but just because it's easier to get a hold of.
Is it okay?
You got bracket in front there, Lyle? You got bracket?
Yep.
I guess. I've never tried it before.
I think
It's supposed to. Why, you think it'll work, do you? Towards Lyle. There you go.
you want to line that one up straight? Or?
We can. Well, there should be plenty. I don't know, it's 13. So, and then probably one up there somewhere. I don't know where. I've seen stumps.
Just so it's above the skyline, just to split the skyline. So
Okay.
one above the wall.
Okay, well,
You want to get in there?
get up on the truck.
yeah. I'll have to get it up there. Okay.
Okay.
Red light can hold it.
You need to back up just a little bit. Back up just a little bit. So we'll hold it.
It's still muddy. Hey, Lyle?
Yeah.
Good eye. Got maybe 2 or 3 inches left over on that guy line. Just kidding. You're not that good. You might be good, but you're not that good.
You want to go down there with it? Yeah. See where the fish reaches.
Did you say you had a wrench on you?
Yeah, is that tight enough to hold?
No, I don't think so. Well, you shouldn't have to have much slack on it.
Okay, here's my wrench.
I just want to tighten this on.
Yeah, I think you're all right there.
My grandfather worked on a highball logging outfit in the Willamette Valley, and he said they would kill from 2 to 3 men a week. If you lasted a week, you got a 50-cent a day raise. If you lasted 2 weeks, you got $1 a week or $1 a day raise. And if you lasted 3 weeks, they put you in charge. And he worked 3 weeks and quit, and in that time he said there was 8 men killed. Life was not valuable. Today it's very valuable, and that's the key of all logging today is safety, and that's where it all lies.
Now get down off the pole before it isn't okay.
I do believe you lead a charmed life.
I'm glad Hilda's not up here.
You know anybody else that's been run over with a log truck and lived to tell about it?
I'm sure this all makes sense, but it'll probably all come together here pretty quick.
See where I want to go.
You want
I got the wrong way, don't I?
You want to
Yeah,
untwist.
that's the way we want to go.
Yeah. That'll make it pretty
Oh,
low.
that drop down any?
We'll make it drop down. I'll just...
Just right.
There she is, right where she belongs. Okay.
I'm going to hang the jack on your side, I assume.
Yeah, right
Somewhere
here.
over in there. The wooden spar, we would raise a tree, a wooden spar tree, and they'd be, anywhere from like 100, up to 190 feet or so. 190 feet was pretty much standard. And use a minimum of 10 guy lines, and then we would have a boom in the tree to load with, and then you'd have your rigging hanging up on the top, and for yarding, and then partway down the tree would be your loading rigging and your blocks and things for the loading system. And at the landing you would have 2 donkeys minimum. Occasionally you'd have 3, and sometimes you'd only have 1 because those were unit skidders, and it was all one big railroad mounted monstrosity, weighed up to maybe 200 tons or so, and they did it all. They yarded and loaded both with them. Then you'd have, if they were oil fired, you'd have a tank car there to bring it on the railroad for crude oil. And if they were wood fired, then you'd bring in wood logs, and then you'd have a crew out there cutting wood. Those guys were called wood bucks. Then you'd have to have a fireman. And so each steam donkey had at least a fireman and an engineer. Then they had to pump water to them from a distance. Sometimes they even had a pump man there. A lot of the people that worked in those camps were kind of offbeat characters because they stayed out in camp. A lot of single men lived in those camps. They hired a lot of people, and because of that, they had a lot of offbeat characters. The loggers of today are just like anybody else, but back then they were a wild and crazy bunch.
There are at least 2 hoisting drums on a steam donkey, a mainline drum, which is the drum that pulls the logs in, and there is a haulback drum. It unwinds as the log is coming in and is used to pull the rigging back into the woods for another turn.
And the process goes on all day, back and forth.
Ho! Slugger down!
This is
Ho!
working
Can't see for the sun. Okay, slugger down! Ho back! Ho! Ho!
How's that? Put it right in your hand. This is 1/8 of actual size. So, in other words, we've got a 20-foot spar tree here, so 8 times 20 would be 160 feet, right? 8 times 2, 160 feet.
The rigging crew's in the shade already.
Washington's two-speed, did you?
Yep.
Okay. How'd you keep from breaking up timber, or did you?
No, I didn't try to. I just put. They told me to put the throttle in the crease of my hat, and that's where I put it. See, like that crease you got in your hat? Yeah. That's where you put the throttle. Is that right? And when
wide open?
Wide open. You went down the road if you didn't.
Yeah, as soon as that choker got tight, I put it right up there. And that's how I got to running one because I was chasing, and the guy, donkey punter, got drunk and never come to work, and I pulled in a log or two, and then next day, the hook tender run it. And I said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "He didn't run it fast enough." So after that, he didn't have to worry about. I stayed on it after that.
The smell, the noise, the steam. It's a lost. Well, what do you want to say? It's just a lost art. The whole system, the boiler. There isn't anybody that can do that anymore. There isn't anyone that knows how to run a steam donkey anymore or run a steam engine, because they are different and dangerous. It's just a different breed of man. Today's logger's into computers. Machinery is computerized, computer designed, and in the old days it was all done by usually a very intelligent man. He had to do it all without a computer.
Well, I'm getting better at landing them.
Show them what you do when you get hung up on the stump there.
I did not build the hoist. I built everything except that two-speed yarder. I built all the other things that you see up there. Yarder was built by Bill McCready of Milwaukee, and he did a really good job on it. He built that for 3 photographs, and what he remembered, he used to work on them. And he started building that in '73, and no plans were available back then. Now we've uncovered the Willamette Iron and Steel Company, which manufactured steam donkeys in Portland, and they are available now at the Oregon Historical Society. And by the way, I'm archivist for those Willamette records. So we're actually better shape now to build them than we were back then. In order to build these, a lot of people have asked me if you can buy parts for these at the modeling supply houses. Well, you can buy valves, you can buy injectors, water pumps, but to build one of these boilers, it's got to be scratch built because there's very few donkey builders. This donkey here has both castings on it in which the patterns were all scratch built and custom built and everything. And then also some of the work was done with the lathe and milling machine without doing any pouring of molten metal. So to answer your question, you have a hard time finding enough parts to build these things, because they are quite a lot different than a locomotive.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you? Hydraulic?
Hydraulic and air. Yep. So it only takes 15 minutes, put it on and start launching.
Ours takes a little bit longer than that. Does a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you still want to set her down again?
See, back end in first.
I've got a pallbearer, I think heavier than this.
There was a pallbearer general. I grabbed that one particular one that cast.
You're gonna take that ball.
That's good now. The donkeys were basically brought in on the railroad, and some stayed were rail mounted all the time, and others were sled mounted. But even the sled mounted ones were brought in on the railroad, and then they take them off the railroad and get them on the ground. And then usually after that, the sled mounted ones, they just move them from under its own power. You just take the main line out and hook it onto a stump, and it just pull itself ahead. Uphill, downhill. I have some interesting pictures about moving donkeys under adverse conditions too. It was quite an art to move those and a lot of work.
Planks.
What happened?
Planks.
Go that way. I had two guys mention the lack of safety straps today, Lionel.
Well, you told him where it was, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's over on the other
Well,
side.
the second one, I'd forgotten what the punchline was. Put that on there.
I'd say wind up everything you can wind up before we let the tree down, and then we
Okay. Pull it out.
top guys. What do we got? I got all those. Yeah, this isn't right. This is, well, it's got a tank on the bottom. Oh, that's the worst part of this one. Yeah. Let's move on. Between these. There we go. Yeah. You stand there, just kind of push on it. I don't like
pliers
those.
and
I
vice
like
grips?
those nippers that you used. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
there,
my favorite.
somewhere here.
My favorite
There
tool.
they are. See 'em?
My favorite tool is right here.
cosmetically restoring it there at Crown Pacific.
It was in pretty good shape though.
Yeah.
Wasn't stripped as bad as ours.
Well, you mean the Smith & Watson?
Well, I was on the crew setting chokers a lot of times when we raised trees. But it's another case where I didn't do much of the brain work, where I put the block where they told me and I pulled the line they told me to pull, and I didn't realize at the time that anybody had to do any thinking on this thing. Somebody was doing some thinking, I'll tell you.
I've never timed that. By the time it comes time to break these down, I'm so tired that I can't even look at my watch.
And so what is left of the logging steam donkeys are a few specimens associated with museums and the exquisite models which are made by the few remaining men who still have the knowledge to build them and to rig them and to operate them. On this day, we watched as they got together to relive a past that only they could fully appreciate.